Episode of Traders Talk is brought to you by Hanku Trade, the broker that I prefer with a great reputation, low spreads, excellent customer service, and some of the fastest withdrawals in the industry. They provide great cost-effective trading solutions with an ECN account at $4 per standard lot, and the one that I really like is the ECN Plus at $2 per standard lot. Use the link in the description to get started now.
Okay, welcome everyone to episode 3 of Traders Talk, the best Forex podcast, where we sit down with some of the best prop firm traders and traders in general, just to kind of get a little insight into their story, into their struggle, so we can sometimes use that to encourage us throughout our journey. So today I have Matt to Millions. I'm sure some of you guys have seen him on YouTube. I have been actually following Matt for a while, since he actually started his channel. He was actually kind of an inspiration as well. Some of my other trader friends actually really watch Matt as well. One of my friends has done some one-on-ones with him. So we're just gonna, let's just get a little quick introduction from Matt. How are you and who are you?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely. I'm Matt. As you said, like probably most recognizable from the Matt to Million channels on YouTube and Insta. I am a trader. I've been trading for 12 years. Well, trading live for 12 years, and probably learning to trade for about 14. And probably the interesting part is I almost exclusively trade indices as opposed to FX pairs. But yeah, I mean, that's me.
Oh, that part I didn't know. You've been trading for 12 years now? Wow.
Yeah, overall been 12. Yeah, I had a gap in the middle, but for personal reasons, not linked to trading necessarily. But
Right.
yeah, I had that. So yeah, I was pretty successful before when I started, and that was more in stocks. And then I made the transition to indices, and then now since I came back, I was trading for a patch, and then created the Matt to Million channel.
So how did you? Is that kind of how you transitioned over? It was like you just got into stocks, and then like kind of just worked your way into other trading.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, it was basically this guy. He's a good friend of mine. It's not this guy. He introduced me to trading. He was trading through his dad when he was younger, so he wasn't old enough. He's about 16.
Okay.
Couldn't open a broker's account and all that sort of stuff. And he was sort of saying, he was looking at buying Apple, back in the day as an investment tool and stuff like this. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Got sort of more interested in that. And then he sort of introduced me to the world of CFDs and leverage trading and such. And then that sort of sparked the interest. But I mean, yeah, back when I started, we're talking like a long, completely different how it is now, basically. So no zero account protection. You could end up owing money to the brokerage, if you screwed it up. So it's big time. Back testing was using like Yahoo Finance printouts, and then paper over the chart to try and sort of figure that out. And there wasn't really much in the way of educational material either. So there was a couple that was online courses, but not like you see now with like yours as well. Yeah, so it's really kind of time in the library, trial and error. And then because I started with stocks, then I was trading stocks on leverage for quite a while, just stocks, and then obviously indices being what they are. It was a pretty safe transition for me to then sort of move across, and so I still trade stocks now, but very much day trading wise, it's focused around indices.
Yeah, indices. So I'm sure like 8-9 years ago, when you were really trying to learn, obviously there's so much content on YouTube. There's lots of good content actually now, but so back then there probably wasn't much, right? Was it more trial and error when you just started, like just figuring it out on your own?
I mean, YouTube was a thing. Like as things started getting forward, that YouTube did become a thing. So I mean, people were there, but it was I remember doing when I was at college, for example, I'd be getting out in the morning, doing something, I'd be looking at videos if they were there on YouTube until the early hours, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a great deal in terms of not what you see now. So there would be people sort of breaking things down, basic strategies, basic charting, but there wasn't really much in the ways of, let's say, communities, strategies, things like that. It was very stereotypical stuff. So it was more a case of learning the market, because stocks is also completely separate in terms of how I learned that. So that was more like a valuation model and all that sort of stuff. But then with the rest of it, it was much more around basic kind of candlestick patterns at the start, and understanding how the market moves, the different time frames, and so on. And then for me, it was just like picking little bits where people were saying, this is a way of trading, like the classic moving average crossovers and things like this. So I went through that, and then it was just basically trial and error for quite a while. So it took me a long time to kind of, I would say, because I'm seeing people these days picking up trading, 6 months down the road, they're profitable and they're funded
Yeah,
and
it's
all
pretty
this. And
crazy.
I'm thinking, Jesus, if I could have done that, it would have been ideal, but it took me ages. So there we go.
But it was worth it, right? It was worth it. Now you're doing very well. So, did, did they? Okay, let me ask this actually. How long have you been full-time trading for? Like before, like after college, or did you ever like end up working anywhere, or did you just like kind of go straight into trading?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, the question for me anyway, because I think like for me, I've got a lot of things on the go, so
Right.
my intention was never to be sitting in front of a chart for like 9 hours. The question, like the way in which I view it is more like how long has it been the primary income source, like as in
Yes.
what's been
Yes.
driving it. So for me, I mean, for me, it was pretty much from, I'd say like 2011-ish, I did work
Wow.
before. But when I say that was the main income source, I'm not saying that was, I was out there, buying lavish meals and flying first
Yeah.
class.
It was getting by.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, the point where I realized, hold on, this could be something good is, I was working in a supermarket. I was in on like a butchery and fishmonger counter, and I was able to earn more from the day trading profits than I was, what I was earning by going in on an evening on a Thursday, for example, and doing the shift. So yeah, that's what kind of stemmed it. But yeah, it's been a while now that trading's been at the top.
Wow. So you've been really trading for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Was it just in the start like you just kind of had your personal capital and you just you used the money from the stocks, and then when was the first time you ever opened like a Forex broker account?
When I was 18. So that was the 12 years ago. So I did.
Okay.
I was researching it and like doing what I could, in terms of like on the sides, because when you're young, you're kind of like, why can't I open one and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's pretty much live from there. I was using profits from what I had earned on stocks on one side as I started trying to transition into indices, and also money that I was earning from from work as well. Of course, it wasn't a journey like that, that I put money into account and I'd blow it, with stupid decision making and so on. But yeah, it was just basically incrementally trying to fund myself as time got on, and then it sort of started taking much more of an upward step as I got more consistent, as I got more confident, and then that's where the tide started changing.
Okay, cool. I've seen videos of you showing because you do some trade breakdowns of US30
Yep.
and the UK 100, things like that. I see you trade AUD USD as well sometimes. And I see your strategy, and one of my friends uses sort of basically the same because he's kind of learned from you, I guess, through YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that something you just have been putting together over the years and it just works for you? Like it's something you personally just created, like where you draw the zones and things like that?
Yeah, pretty much. I think like for me, the big thing was, I've tried so many different things, and I think that I spent so long trying to emulate other people, and trying to look for the strategy that's going to work, or whatever. And so it didn't, that kind of sidetracked me. And at the end, I kind of, as I matured more, I was looking at things like what actually, what works for me, what do I see the most, and that was it basically. So I started looking and going, okay, fine. Well, if I just focus on indices, these are the levels that I'm getting the most success off of. But back in the day, it wasn't. Now I would class my entries. Obviously, they've evolved over time. But previously, it was the same as anyone else. 1-1, 1-2, risk rewards on there. If I was lucky, but I was getting the general sentiment right, but I wasn't being able to refine the trade itself. So the principle was always there, and I kind of knew what I liked, but I almost thought I didn't know if I could succeed that way. And I was always trying to add different things and different bits and pieces. So over time, yeah, it's been pretty much trial and error because everyone talks about a trading plan as well. This is the other thing. So for me, that was the bit that was hard for me because I kind of knew what I was looking at, but I found it very difficult to define. And then so over time, I was just kind of like, listen, I'm just going to do what works for me, what I can see the easiest, and then just build it from there. So yeah, pretty much trial and error, refinement, and just doing that over time. There wasn't from like one person or one thing that I could do.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna agree with what I have to say. Like over the last 2.5 years, like I really in the start, obviously, everybody struggles with trading. It is a struggle. Let's just be honest, right? And I bought all these courses and things like that. But what I found in the end, because now I've really found deep consistency, Like I've been very consistent over the last 8 months. I've been funded. I've been interviewed by FTMO, things like that. And now I'm teaching my strategy to my own students. I feel like certain strategies work with certain people's personalities. It's just I feel like some people get really good results from maybe scalping. Some people can hold for longer. Some people can trade indices. Like for me, I don't even go long anymore. I just go short. It's just something that works for me. It's really strange, right? With you, I guess it was with you it was the indices, right? So I think you'd probably agree that everyone everyone has a certain personality, and the strategy kind of has to meet that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'd say so.
yeah, one of the questions so you trade a lot of US 30,
Yeah.
which is for me like US 30 in gold. I stay away from. I just can't do it. I can't do it. They're really crazy. It's so volatile. Like it's pretty crazy. So is there any like particular characteristics about US 30 that you like, or like you picked up over the years?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth noting that the indices that I started with and the ones that kind of built me the success up. I didn't immediately trade on the Dow or on the US 30. I was very much. I used to trade a lot of the FTSE for the UK and a lot of the IBEX, which is the Spanish index, basically.
Yeah.
The Dow also I used to get my ass handed to me on a regular basis if I ever tried to trade the Dow. So
yeah.
it was always it's because it was just such a big mover in comparison to say the FTSE, and I didn't take time to understand it, and I think that's what happened. Characteristics wise, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few. I mean, at the end of the day, I've seen the charts go over and over and over, as in seeing it live, whether it's back testing, whatever. I find that a lot of the passages of play, like whether you're looking at things over the course of like something happening over a week, something happening over a month, they get repeated. So whether you'll see a pattern of play that happened in 2019, the same characteristics start coming up in this year or whatever, and and then that's how it's been working. So the other thing as well is I feel that it's very range bound. It does respect levels, it does respect the zones, if you like, that it trades in, and ultimately I think that it's. If you're out in a 4-hour time frame, for example, on the Dow, you're able to understand kind of where you are in a price structure, and that's the big thing for me, is understanding midterm bias, understanding where I'm expecting the market to go, knowing the likelihood of it going one way or the other, and so characteristically, I say, I mean, I can't speak for Forex because I'm I'm not great at it. But for the indices, I think that the market consolidates 85% of the time, right? Especially if you're on sort of a 4-hour-ish time frame. So I like trading in those ranges and in those pockets. And that's, that they're kind of the characteristics that I like picking up on, is how range bound it is, the fact that the levels tend to be respected, and also from historic levels, so I was speaking to a guy earlier on a session, and he was questioning an entry that I took, I think it was on Tuesday. But my entry criteria on Tuesday was dated back to a level that was created on the 23rd of August. That's the sort of things that I like about it, because I feel like there's a bigger picture to it rather than having to be completely zoomed in.
Okay, right. At this point, are you trading any Forex, or that you've dropped completely off?
I mean, I take the odd trade now and again on Euro Australian dollar, which is a bit of a random one. But I've got a very basic. I've got a very basic Forex strategy that works, for me. And that's So I just operate that. If I feel like it, I'll go onto that one. But it's not. I mean, literally 99% of the trades are indices. I don't really get too involved with Forex. I mean, it was more the manipulation within Forex for me that I struggled with. So that was the tough part, and therefore the indices created that. So it was much more manageable, much more predictable in my mind, less manipulated, less volatile. There's not less volatility, but it's less erratic, in my opinion. Obviously, other people disagree, but that's how I see it.
That makes sense, and what, especially once you start trading a certain strategy in certain pairs, I stick to around. I've been starting to stick to 4 or 5 pairs, and I know the characters pretty well in my strategy. It works pretty well for me in Forex. I just indices. I don't know, just never really fit with me. I've tried them out, but everybody has their own kind of thing that fits with them, right? So in terms of funding, I know you've been funded with FTMO for a while. Was it, what was that like in 2018 when you first applied to FTMO?
Yeah, I think I mean, maybe not 18. I think it was 19. It was 19 in July, I think it was, something around there. It was soon after I'd created the Instagram account, so it felt like it was. Maybe they were around before that. I'm not sure, but like it definitely felt early doors because it definitely wasn't on the.
It wasn't that big, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it got went on there, and yeah, obviously they made some great advancements since, right? But they were always pretty good. And I think what's quite impressive with them has been, even with the new people that have come into the market, they've never quite matched the infrastructure, like the automation as well that the FTMO got. They had that from, because even when I passed that first challenge, it still went into an automatic review stage. They set everything, what I mean? Like you never had to chase anything, so it was, they've always been good. But yeah, I was definitely there, fairly early on when they were launched.
Yeah, because I've seen some of their early interviews from 2000. Like I saw the 18 interview they did with him. It had like 8,000 views. So it's almost like before COVID. It's like they didn't exist. Yeah. Not many people knew about them, but they actually do a phenomenal job with customer service and the amount of people that they've been receiving. I'm pretty surprised as a company they've done a well job. And we've seen one company come and go. And then now we have all these companies. So I don't know. Were you ever funded with Funding Talent or no?
No, I never gone with Funding Talent. It was one that was on the radar, but yeah, fortunately not.
Yeah, how's your experience with My Forex Funds?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, I obviously, I'd say it's more manual than FTMO for sure, but still functional. So I kind of like when people are questioning about that. Yes, it just comes down to what you want. I mean, it's also spread of risk to a point, in terms of where for example, if you were fully funded with Funding Talent, and you were using that as an income, you'd be pretty much up the spout now. So I think that it's definitely a worthy worthy alternative. They've improved a lot. Obviously, they've put the new payment system in now as well, so that's made things a lot smoother. So yeah, I think overall, I think really good. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously a difference between platform speed, but the actual execution stuff. Like, in fact, I find the execution's a bit better on My Forex Funds than I do on FTMO. So if I'm getting, if I'm on the edge of a wick, for example, often I'll get triggered on a My Forex Fund account, whereas sometimes on FTMO.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And I see like you do you always just use limit orders? Is that just because you don't like being on the chart, or is it just what works with you for your person? Like that's just what works for you?
Yeah, it's not all, but most. So probably about 85% is limit orders. And yeah, the main reason is because if I sit there looking at the chart and I know that I'm waiting for something, every time it gets a little bit closer, but then starts teetering off again, I'm like, oh no, that's it, right? Let's get in, and then it sort of plays with my entry point, and therefore risk reward. So basically, over the years, the way I've become less emotional is by trying to take kind of personal judgment right in the moment out of it. So with that, because sometimes the entries I take, there could be a real bullish candle heading towards the level, for example, and most people would be like, there's no way you should be taking that reversal. And probably if I'm on the chart, I probably wouldn't, and then I'd wait until it reversed, and then I'd get in late, and then so on. So yeah, so the vast majority now is set from limit orders, because then half the time I'm not even there when they get triggered. So I don't have that.
That must help. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes I see a trade that's already planned and everything, but then I'm like, oh, I'm not taking that. But for me, market execution works well with my strategy, the one that I use. But at this point, like, because you've been trading for so long, I don't know if you feel this, but even if you're profitable, even if you're successful, it's still, I feel like trading still has an emotional toll on your brain. I don't know how much time you're spending on the chart, so that's a good question. How much time are you actually spending now versus how much you were? And then do you still feel that like emotional toll that sometimes it happens, or like are you at a point where it like you don't even feel it at all anymore?
Well, first of all, I don't spend that much time on the charts anymore. So a lot of the time now is I'm already aware. So because I've seen the same charts, day in, day out,
for a long time,
and for a long time. Yeah. So it's kind of like, and my levels are set not based off of what happened last week or yesterday or the last month. I've got historic levels as well. So everything's there is kind of like, I know where it's being left on a Friday and where I'm picking up on a Monday type thing. If the price is in an awkward area where I know I'm not actually interested in anything, then I literally just won't be on the chart. So I'll set an alert above or below, the area that it's maybe stagnating around and the area where I've got no interest. and then I know that I can just go off and do whatever, and I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get itchy fingers by staring at the screen and all that sort of stuff.
Do you have like a routine in the morning, like where you're like set? Okay, I'm going to be on the charts from 7 to 10, and then I'm like, do you have a certain routine that you follow daily?
No, not really. I mean, it's more about the levels, and more about, like, I'm a bit kind of like, I guess, the antichrist when it comes to like the normal lessons within trading. So, for me, it was very much about, everybody talks about freedom within trading, but then they try and trade 8 hours a day, or they replace it with their day job. And then therefore it's not actually that much. You're basically just replacing a job that you're working for somebody else, just with earning some more money sat from your, from your own office. So for me, it's more a case of, I never want to get into a point where I feel that my success is driven by needing to be up at a certain time, needing to be trading a certain session and all this. As time's gone on, obviously, I know, for example, I hate Monday Open, and I hate especially Monday London Open. So there is absolutely no way that you'll catch me on that chart at all. But yeah, generally speaking, the daily routine is more, I will check in on the charts. I'm waiting for things to happen rather than looking to see if they're going to happen. And then, as I said, once they set up and once I feel that there's a strong, reason to trade, then I'll jump in, and that's it. Which I know is not a popular answer. So I know it's a bit left field, because everybody's likes being very structured, and I do believe you need to be that in the start. So like back when I was learning, it was my life. Like I was, every chance I had, I was looking at different ways of doing things, different charts, trying out, different patterns of all sorts. But now it's not really, it's not really like top of my list in that respect. I try and cut out as much noise as possible. And I know in myself, you're talking about personalities earlier. I couldn't agree more. A lot of people try and trade against their personality. If you know that you're somebody that needs to be in, you need the thrill of being in a trade every 20, 30 trades a week, then trying to make somebody take swing trades, even if they could be profitable, it's all going to unravel at some point, right? Because you're always going to resort to type, like as human beings, like when you're under that pressure, it's like similar to what you're saying there with the mental toll. Does it still take a mental toll on me? I mean, I get drained, like mentally drained. And then when I know I'm mentally drained, I'll take time away. I don't really get affected by the losses or the wins anymore. So I don't feel the emotional roller coaster from, oh God, I've just taken a loss. And if it's a win, it's like I'm jumping around the room. But, but in terms of the kind of, because it is boring as well. Like, to be fair, it's very boring. So, and I just think, sometimes it's not, it's not really worth being, and I'm not going to force myself to go and do something that, unless I feel like, I'm in the right spot, so it's, I appreciate I'm a bit of an oddball when it comes to that, because it's not, it's not what you usually hear from people, but it is how it is.
Yeah, like this, in the last 6 to 8 months, especially when I've gotten more consistent, and there's very specific things that I look for. It's not like how it used to be last year, that like, it's like a roller coaster. And a lot of new traders I see, they're just going like almost crazy. Like one time they're all happy, then they're all sad, and then it's just like up. Right now, my trading has gotten very boring. Like it's like, even if I win, like I had a really amazing trade yesterday, and I sent it to the Discord and everybody was really happy, but I was like, all right, just another day. Okay. It was just, I just don't feel that anymore. And I think that's actually a good thing. That's something that traders have to get to, because you have to really control. I'm sure you've been through this in start, right? When you're too happy, you're going to start entering more trades. You get into that gambling mentality. So getting to the stage where your emotions are just flatlined, I think that's a really important as well for traders. So yeah, it's a really good point that you brought up. Now, for anybody who's watching, I'm going to be linking Matt's channel down below. And you also have a website, Matt. I know my one of my friends has actually taken advantage of that. He's done a one-on-one with you. He's doing excellent now. What can traders expect? Like, how should they reach out to you? Are you just doing the one-on-ones? Is there something else that you're helping traders with? You want to tell us about that?
It's a bit of a strange one how it came about, actually, because I wasn't intending, because the trading's always, has been the focus. So, and I did the channels sort of as we were going into lockdown, because of, I had a few people say, oh, why don't you do it? Obviously, you've got time on your hands. It, could be quite cool. So I've got the YouTube channel and the Instagram, but yeah, the website is is just offering one-to-ones, so very limited slots during the week, because I wanted to keep it not to be spending all my time doing that. And also, it's essentially an option. People can go in. I offer a 15-minute free consultation, which I usually try and push people to do, because I'm really not in that for the money, put it that way. So like when you work out, when I'm doing 50% deductions after the thing, you know what I mean? Like it's not for that, but people were requesting it. I thought it'd be a good idea just to get an idea, and because as you probably know as well, it's quite a lonely sort of community. It's not really, and there's a lot of shysters out there as well. It's one of them. So they can do 1 or 2 hours. It's catered to what they want to do. Most people really want to just understand how I trade, like the theory behind the principles that I have, and then we sort of run through that. And then people have subsequently, it moves more to coaching from there. So once they've got the grounding, I allow people to send the back testing data or the journaling data ahead of their next session. So I run through it, then we jump in the tweaks, all the different bits that we need to look at, and then people have gone. So it's been quite cool, actually. I must admit, like it's since I think June this year that I launched it, and there's now quite a few people getting funded, and some people are quite high, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 as well. So it's been really good. But also it's not for, I'm not there to do the basics, so I'm not, for sure. I'm going to be sat there going through patterns and all this. So it's more, that's why I do the consultation, so people can understand if they like me and the way I operate. I'm very honest about what the limitations are, and so hopefully you just work with people that you want to work with.
One of my friends actually did a one-on-one with you, and he strictly trades US30. He's doing very good. So that was really interesting to hear. He has 400,000 with FTMO, and he's trading just like you, and he really had some really good things to say. So that's glad to hear. And a really good point you brought out was trading is pretty lonely. It's pretty boring, especially when you're at home and you don't have friends that trade. It's kind of like, you're just sitting there by yourself, and and none of your friends can relate, or family and stuff, right? So it's pretty cool to have at least some people that you can interact with, talk to. Like for myself, I just launched my kind of mentorship thing. It's cool to be in Discord, talk to people, help them out, things like that. That's really cool. So, I just want to keep this real short. Everyone should check out Matt's channel, and if you want, if you think it's a good way, it fits well with you, you can hit up Matt's website. I'll link that as well in the description. Now, before we wrap this up, Matt, because we do have a lot of new traders that are watching this, is there any kind of advice that you would give to people who are just not starting out, but they're kind of break even, they're looking to get funded, but they can't seem to figure out what's going on or what they're doing wrong? Is there one piece of advice that you think you would give it to yourself, maybe, if you could go back?
It's tough for me. I've always been so pro live account, so I switched to live account as soon as I could, really. One piece of advice is trade live, even if it's with a small amount, but enough to make you emotional, but not enough to wipe you out. I think that, because there's a lot of people doing the dance with demos and doing certain things with funding or whatever. I think the key thing really is assessing your life and actually looking at yourself objectively. I think the biggest issue that people face, and certainly one with me, is that it's a coping mechanism where you kind of if I'd done this, if I'd done that, I know that if I'd done this differently, it would have been this. The way you're speaking to yourself is just creating excuses, and people aren't willing to go, they feel like they're doing it as a show, they're convincing themselves that they're not wrong, or that they can do things better. So the advice is really take a look at yourself, know your flaws. Are you the person that is constantly trading the instrument that's always losing you money, but you'll keep going into it thinking it's going to be that? Are you somebody that's trigger happy? Are you somebody that needs to have dedicated time to the charts, dedicated time away from the charts, whatever it may be? But it's really actually honestly understanding your performance, because for me, I ended up taking, I used to look at 26 different things on a watch list, and then now I'm basically looking at 1-3 max. And I think that it's that age old thing of, if you're struggling, the reason, obviously what you're doing now is wrong. The way that I improved it was taking a look back and going, what am I not doing that I know could improve? And then I have those listed. I try and implement just one over the course of, let's say, 4 weeks, and then I go back after 4 weeks and then go, do what, even though I'm still not where I want to be, I'm still not making what I want to make. If I look back on it and I go, am I further on than where I was before I implemented that thing? And the answer is yes, then it's a success. And then that sort of stemmed it moving forward. So I think it's more a case of really being honest with yourself, not realizing that it's you against you, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one cares. Literally, like you said, no one cares. No one cares how well you trade. No one cares what trade idea you've got. No, literally, no one cares. So you're not impressing anyone. You're literally just telling yourself lies. So I think, for those newish or break-even traders, I think it's a lot of people know what they're not doing, but they're not willing to make the changes. And that, and I said before, it's like simple doesn't mean easy, but often the fixes are simple, and it's usually to do with your behavior and your psychology.
I agree. I think so first of all, it's a journey, right? You know that it's a journey. It's a journey where you actually get to learn a lot about yourself and your personality. At least for me, I think I got to learn a lot about my emotions, my personality, my psychology just through trading. And I just feel like I'm a different person, and the way I view things now. And it was for me, it was just cleaning up the small little things. I don't even use any indicators anymore. It was just like, it was like almost a lot of people are doing information overload these days. There's so much stuff on YouTube and like Instagram, and you're seeing one thing, and there's smart money, and there's this, and it's like, what do you do, right? And then it's so overcomplicating. So for me, I really just decluttered everything the last 8 months, really worked on my psychology, my emotions, and just trading less. And I feel like just doing those last few bits and pieces, it really did it for me. Like you said, you really have to like see who you are. You know what I mean? And I think that works.
It's it's also with that noise aspect as well. I think that's huge. Like I said before, I was always trying to emulate someone else, because if I was like, let's be frank, right? If we call a spade, anyone can pretty much pick up a strategy that can return, let's say, on average, 2R, 3R, or 3-to-1 risk rewards.
Yes.
If all they did was stick to that and only take the optimum setups, they would be profitable and they would make money. The problem is that when people get to that stage, they're then looking and going, okay, well, that guy over there's earned 20,000 this month or 40,000. What is he doing that I'm not? And then they start deviating and switching path. And the problem is, it's like, like for you, like you've got your community, and then those guys are focused on you. The moment when people start going into like 8-9 different groups, free Telegram chats, it's crazy, because you see all of these different charts, all of these different things, and it's just, that does not help at all, in my opinion.
No.
Like, if you stick to one community if you're in one, and then just focus on that, and that's how you're going to get the most. Because like, as human beings, we always seem to be like, the grass is always greener over there, or we need to do this, and this person's doing this and this person's doing that. But it's cutting out the noise is a huge one.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me this year. Like, just finding the strategy. I'm like, this is working. Why am I looking there? Why am I in this? One day I went on my phone, I deleted every single group that I was in. I deleted every random noise that was there. And I was like, this strategy is working. Why don't I just use what's working? Like, why am I looking left, right? And then there's like new trends, like smart money concepts, and it's just being, you see it everywhere. And I'm like, what am I doing? Right. So that was a big thing for me. It's a good point you brought. You need to just like put blinders on, and if what you're doing is working, you don't need to be focused on another person, or if you think one thing will work, just that's the thing to focus on, right? So I think that's what a lot of the news, that's at least what I try to teach in my community. If it's like what I say, like, you don't have to buy my course or my strategy. Whoever, pick one and just go with that, just run with that, cut everything else out. And if that doesn't work, and give it some time, like give it 6 months or whatever, and then, but people seem to like, and even me, I was doing it this, like, hopping from strategy, hopping from looking there, looking left. It just doesn't work. But you brought up some really good points, Matt. I'm gonna keep this short. I'm gonna let you go, not take up too much of your time. I'm gonna leave your website and your channel down below, guys. Please go on to Matt's channel. There's some really great breakdowns he does. You've got some videos about taxes and how to get a mortgage.
All the boring stuff.
It's some really good information. So guys, please check out Matt's channel, and if you're looking to do a one-on-one with Matt, it will be on his website. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Matt. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Have a wonderful